I wanted to transition over to the impressions. I'm not going to have you do any. I feel like it's probably just a drawn out thing. But I was wondering, even to date, what has been your most well-received impression?
Yeah, it's tough because impressions, much like comedy, they can be so subjective. One, and it's all how people hear things. It's pretty wild. Like Frank Caliendo and me, we'll talk about this all the time about how, in back-to-back comments or in back-to-back tweets, I can have somebody it's like, I close my eyes and that's literally spot on. And then the next tweet can be somebody it's like, it doesn't really sound anything like him. Like it's very weird. There's not very many like universally just accepted impressions that people are like, oh yeah, that's spot on. The most well-received one that I've done probably is Jimmy Fallon or Colin Cowherd. I think because when you get involved with like people in sports, sometimes fans can have their fandom bleed over into then like they're taking it as like a shot at their coach or something, when it's not that at all. So when I impersonate or have fun with somebody like a Jimmy Fallon or like a Colin Cowherd, those are kind of all people that, especially Cowherd, people enjoy making fun of and ripping on Cowherd more than they enjoy like listening to him in a large sense.
Yeah.
So I think that people connect with that one so well because they think it's funny that, I've been able to kind of channel him as well as I've been able to. But again, that's just because I've listened to him and been a fan for so long that's why I know his little quirks and his ins and outs, so it's kind of a sign of respect in my eyes. And same thing with Fallon. So I'd say those two have been, the ones that people are always kind of requesting more of, always enjoying. And I have a lot of fun doing them.
And then, like reception aside, has there been one that you like the different scenarios you can create, like with a certain voice, like you make Coach O do something? What has been, I guess, the most flexible voice and one that you've really enjoyed doing the most?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad you brought that up because, that is one of my favorite parts about those is I try not only to have the impression sound like the person, I try to put them in situations that they wouldn't normally be in, right?
Yeah.
So, Nick Saban hosting a podcast or Coach O rapping Jack Harlow lyrics or Sean McVay ordering at a McDonald's drive-thru, different things to where it becomes more of a skit than just a straight up impression. Because I'm tying, writing a skit idea and an impression all into one thing rather than just reading an impression. I'm sorry, I kind of forget what the question was now because I'm just rambling.
Basically, just what's been your favorite one to do?
The one with Cowherd talking to his wife about his daughter's boyfriend was a lot of fun. There's a lot of parallels that you could do to sports radio, and that was received really well. Jimmy Fallon being a waiter at a restaurant was a lot of fun. And then there's one. I mean, anything with Nick Saban that doesn't have to do with football is always going to be funny because he's so shitty, about everything all the time, that when you think about him being in his dining room with his wife or, reading a bedtime story to his daughter or whatever, imagining him being the grouchy old Nick Saban, that's a lot of fun to do too. So those are the three ones that I like the most.
And I'm glad you mentioned that you try to take it out of the realm of what they do, like in a game situation, because then it just sort of becomes boring. And if people look it up, they'll be like, oh, it's just like a regular interview or something.
Exactly.
So how long does mastery of any of the impressions that you've done so far take?
Yeah, it's it varies. Sometimes like with an Andrew Luck or Coach O, for whatever reason, I just I can kind of hear him talk and then I can replicate it and it's pretty much there. But then with some like I watched a lot of Fallon tape. I'll throw a lot of Tucker Carlson tape on. And it's funny, I mentioned like tape like it's like football, but it really is. I mean, because people ask like that's what I do. Like if there's somebody that I'm trying to impersonate, I go to YouTube or whatever, and I pull up and I just watch and I listen and I watch and I listen, pick up what they do with their hands, how they move their face, how they sound when they're laughing, what are different words that they say that people would pick up on. So usually I'd say give me a day or two. You know, if there's somebody that I've never tried before that I want to try, give me a day or two of, like I said, being on YouTube, checking them out, doing all that different stuff, and then I'll start practicing and kind of recording myself do it. And then, you know, hopefully I feel good about it. And once I feel good about it in my gut, then I usually send it out. せーのでもそんなんじゃダメもうそんなんじゃほら心は進化するよもっともっと